Yo, what's up, everybody? Today I want to talk to you about Red Dead Redemption and what I think a remake or a re-envisioning of the game could look like or should look like. So, first off, I think Red Dead Redemption is a great game, but it should have probably been done differently than what they did because Red Dead Redemption 1 is set in 1911, which is like pretty much near the end of the Wild West era. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is set in 1899 and 1907. So, yeah, it's very late in the Wild West era, but they could have totally set it earlier than that, which is what I think they probably should have done. Now, there is a good reason why they set it so late. It's because, you have the opportunity to have a lot of different kinds of weapons and just and the map, and the map is very good in both games, but it could have probably been done differently, which is what I'm gonna talk about today. So, oh yeah, first of all, the real Wild West. What was the real Wild West? Well, it was from 1865 to 1920, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. And the real height of the Wild West was from 1865 to 1890. So after the Civil War, you had like a 25-year period of the height of the Wild West. And by 1890, really a lot of the land was settled. So it, and in Red Dead Redemption 2, they often talk about how train robberies and such are kind of outdated by 1899. That's and that's because the actual Wild West ended in 1890 or thereabouts. Now there were still train robberies after that, but not as frequently as I understand it. So I think overall you could actually make two trilogies in this period from 1865 to 1920, with a total of 6 games. So basically each decade gets one game, right? And let's talk about the first trilogy, the Red Dead Redemption trilogy, with Red Dead Redemption 1 being set in 1865 and 1869, Red Dead Redemption 2 in 1879, 10 years later, and Red Dead Redemption 3 in 1888 and 1890. Now, what are the reasons for these dates? Well, first of all, I think you could have a story where basically you play as the Marston family. So John Marston is the main protagonist, and you play him in 1869, 1879, and 1888. And the way I imagine it is this: so you play John Marston's father in 1865 during the Civil War. He dies. Then you take over as John 4 years later, and then you play him in the 3 games as the main protagonist. So this would be the prologue, and as you can imagine, 1890 would be then the epilogue with Jack. So, yeah. So, what would the story look like? Well, in 1869, you start off in this new gang, basically, the Vanderland gang with Dutch, and then you travel west in the in 1879, which is where the second game takes place. And then in the third game, you have to hunt down everybody. So, like in Red Dead Redemption 1, in the actual Red Dead Redemption 1, you have to hunt down the entire gang, which is what would be the case in this game. So, let's talk about the map. Or weapons first. Cap and ball revolvers might be boring, so that would be in the first game. But it's a game, so reload can be sped up. Yeah. So in the first game, you would have in 1865, 1869, mostly cap and ball revolvers, which are slower. and very take quite a while to reload. But in video games they often do it like so you can just reload it normally, uh, because it would be a little slow for the game. But I mean, Assassin's Creed does it pretty well also. So uh, where you have where you have these black powder revolvers, not even revolvers, pistols, like single shot pistols. So it can definitely work, even if you don't have very fast reload animations. So yeah, and also I think fictional weaponry, so steampunk kind of weapons could be used, or exotic or unique historical weapons could be added. For example, chain guns or high caliber revolvers. So there were a couple of examples of very high caliber revolvers that came about during this era, especially during the Civil War, actually. There are a lot of interesting weapon designs from that era. And chain guns. Now, what's a chain gun? There's actually a gun with a chain inside it. So it revolves each chamber on the chain to shoot. So you can have like I think 12 shots or something, or 20 for a pistol. Like this actually existed as a prototype, but it never made it into mass production because it would probably be too expensive. So, but yeah, the concept is there and it's real, and it could be like a weapon for the player to play with. So, let's talk about the maps. So, Red Dead Redemption 1 would be everything east of the Mississippi. So, this is the Mississippi, right, right here. This is the Mississippi, and everything east of that would be the setting of the first game. So, the first game would be in the Civil War. So, obviously, the eastern states would be much more interesting for the setting of the Civil War, because the West wasn't really that settled yet. So that would be, I think, where the first game should take place, everything east of the Mississippi. Then Red Dead Redemption 2 would be the desert regions of the USA. So everything you see here in yellow is desert. And you basically make a map the size of the Red Dead Redemption 2 map that is all desert. So you and then the third game would be the rest of the Western USA and parts of Canada. So I think that would be like sort of beautiful because you would have a switching up between the regions. So Red Dead Redemption 1 is very green, then Red Dead Redemption 2 is very red because of all the desert and orange, and then Red Dead Redemption 2 is once again very green. Um, that would allow for players to be excited for each new game. And yeah, so and so basically the Red Dead Redemption 1 map would be the size of the actual Red Dead Redemption 1 map, because I sort of imagine like an alternate history where my version of the games gets made. So uh, in 2010, when Red Dead Redemption 1 came out, you would have a map of this area right here uh, in the size of the Red Dead Redemption 1 map. Okay. And then you would have all the desert areas of northern Mexico and the USA in 5 states. So, like in Red Dead Redemption 2. In Red Dead Redemption 2, there's 5 states. And instead of being very green like in Red Dead Redemption 2, it would be very desert like. So, everything would be the desert. Every state would be a different region of the North American desert. And Red Dead Redemption 3 would then be the rest of the western United States, so everything from the Great Plains to the coniferous forests you see here in in turquoise, I guess. And yeah, up here, this part would also be added. So, and you could probably also have like the icy parts of Canada from up here. That, but it would have to obviously be condensed a little bit. But it would, I think, still be very interesting to play, and also to have Southern California and Northern California, so just this whole area as well in the game. But yeah, it would basically be like you could probably put like the Flatiron Lake in Red Dead Redemption 2 would be like this area right here, and then you would have a bunch of states around it, and in the north also Canada. That's how I imagine it. So next, let's talk about the second trilogy that I imagine, which would be the Red Dead Revolution trilogy. So Red Dead Revolution 1 is set in 1899 in the entire United States. So basically, you can, so like imagine, first game comes out in 2010, first Red Dead Redemption game. Then the second game comes out in, what was it, 2017, 2018, I think. And we still haven't had Red Dead Redemption 3. So the third game, whenever that comes out, would be the one with the United States and Canada. And then, who knows when, in sometime in the 2030s, in the late 2030s probably, you could have Red Dead Revolution 1 with the entire United States in one map. That's basically my idea. Then, whenever they make the second game for that, you would have the Red Dead Revolution 2 in 1911 during the Mexican Revolution, and the third game in 1918, 1919, before Prohibition and during World War One, because that was pretty much the end of the Wild West, as far as you can stretch that term, right? Um, Now, sure, Western influences still permeated pop culture after that, but this was definitely, like in my mind, the end of the Wild West, because after that, to me, the mafia era starts, right? So you have the mafia era with Al Capone and such, and it's just the end of the Wild West to me. 1919. So uh, yeah, Red Dead Revolution 1 in 1899 in the United States. Then you add Mexico to the map. So the first map is just the United States. Then you add Mexico in the south, and then Canada in the north, because then you could also smuggle alcohol in the game and have cars. So that's another aspect, is cars. Cars would be added to the game, though they wouldn't take over horses yet, right? Or maybe that would be like 50-50, something like that. 50% cars and horses. So anyway, yeah, we've already talked about the map. Uh, so weapons. So the good thing is that weapons of this time are already high caliber and semi or fully automatic. So you have semi-auto pistols, semi-auto rifles, and full auto weapons in each era. So it wouldn't be bore. Some people might consider just no semi-auto automatic weapons boring. So these games would definitely have semi and even full auto weapons. So it could be like a modern shooter, you know. And I also think that World War One is a great endpoint because saloons became boothless in 1920. Yeah, and I've already talked about this. That the mafia era really starts after that, and yeah, just overall the culture very much shifts. And you also have the Tommy gun, which gets introduced in 1920. So it's really like that's really the end of the Wild West to me. Now you could say a new Wild West starts, the Mafia Wild West, because yeah, that's when the mafia really starts to take over. And but this is how I would structure the games, or because that's how you make a long-term franchise. Because now we have two games, and I don't. I mean, they probably will make a third one, but I don't know what they're gonna do after that. Uh, this would have just sort of built up the tension, the idea that okay, you have the first game at the beginning of the Wild West, the second after that, and after that, and after that. So it would be more exciting in that way, I guess, for me. I don't know how it is for you, but I don't really like prequels because prequels are just they oftentimes make it very prequels are oftentimes very hard to build because the first game sets a lot of rules, and then the prequel just sort of tries to work around that. But when you make a sequel, it's I think often easier to not retcon things. I don't know. Maybe I'm just wrong on that. Uh, Maybe it's equally hard to make a sequel and a prequel. But overall, I think this would have been amazing if they sort of said we'll make 6 games like this, and then they could have even. I mean, if anyone even cares in 2040 about video games anymore, or whenever the last game would come out, uh, then they could have even gone further into the mafia era, so in the 1920s, 1930s, and so on. But yeah, it's just kind of sad. I think it's kind of sad that they started at the end and didn't build from the beginning. So anyway, this is my video. Just wanted to get that off my chest, and thank you for watching. See you later, and goodbye.